tell you what.
We call the November 14th Utilities meeting to order. Mr. Valentine, would you please lead us in prayer?
Bow our heads, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, Lord. We thank you for our health, Lord. Thank you for the spirit of the people of this nation, Lord God. We ask you to protect our soldiers in uniform, Lord, and all of our uniformed people that help us here in our nation. Please protect and bless them, Lord. We ask the blessings on this meeting tonight. We ask all this in your Son's name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment period. Anyone wishing to speak, please sign up with the Secretary, Ms. Stacy. Next, we have an update on the Hillryville Sewer Treatment Project. Mr. Lynn Chance with GSA.
The project was re-advertised Friday week ago, and we're having a pre-bid conference on the project tomorrow, and the bids are scheduled to open on the 5th of December. And I have talked to several contractors, one of them being Touye, who was one of the contractors that we wanted to try to target, and he has taken out a set of plans. So hopefully we'll get a bid from him this time.
Do we have any others that have taken plans?
I know Philway is coming to get a set of plans. They're the ones that constructed the Darrow project. They are coming to the pre-bid conference tomorrow, and they're going to pick up a set of plans. And I've talked to Magnolia, who was the other bidder on the project, who was actually the low bidder on the project the first time it was bid. Talked to Nottingham Construction. I've talked to Allen LeBlanc, and that's all I've talked to right now. Those 5 contractors.
Yeah.
So, and we've had some other response, but we had a question from Hubbard, but they have chosen not to take plans on the job because they didn't want to take the job with the treatment plant in it. But it's really not feasible to do the job without the plant, since it's LCDBG funded, and we actually have to tie those people in and put them in service as part of the project. So,
Any questions from the committee members? Anything else, Mr. Chance? Mr. Paterno?
I was just going to add that at yours and the parish president's request, we got with GSA today, had a very good meeting, incorporated some additional comments. In looking at the plans, the only real potential savings you could find would be, since you do have 2 trains, would be the potential for doing a alternative deduct bid, since you don't need the full capacity of the plant for, according to Barry, I guess a couple, 3 years. I would recommend that if you can find the money to do it, it's going to be more economical, to do the plan as a single project now. But if dollars are a concern, somewhere between $250,000, $300,000 for cutting half the train out there, where you would bring it back in later on. Now, have to make it clear that 2-3 years down the road, it's probably going to cost you, a little bit more all total. But if capital is the constraint at this point in time, then that would be the recommendation, I think, of both GSA and us. And certainly CBDG we'd have to advise them and make them aware that we'd be changing the plans. In addition to that, they have gotten some comments back from DHH initially on the plans they sent. Supposed to receive that tomorrow. Based upon that, they would have to apply for a permit. We feel pretty comfortable coming back that DEQ probably within 60 to 90 days could issue at least a draft permit. We would recommend that you have something in the bid where you actually don't accept the low bid and continue on until you at least have your draft permit. But timing with CBDG and the way all that lays out, 90 days is probably just about right to go ahead and try and apply and secure a permit. But Lynn's going to start that process tomorrow after he gets the DHH comments back.
Any questions, comments? Anything else, Mr. Chance?
No.
Okay, thank y'all. Number 5, update on STAC grant.
We're still waiting. We haven't had final acceptance by the EPA in Dallas. It should be just any day now. The final letter coming from Mr. Watson. So we're still waiting on that. That's the EID. They will not release anything until the EID is signed.
Right.
And that's the only thing we're
There's
waiting
no
on.
more problems that we know of.
No, not. They have a few comments and they had to clear up, but just very, very minor stuff, and it's in their hands.
Any questions, comments, members? One day. Number 6, update on Country Ridge. Mr. Jeff Sapier, Montgomery Watson.
This project, as a reminder, is funded through a Lake Pontchartrain Basin Foundation grant. We are early in the project. I'd estimate we're about 15% complete right now. We've done our first cut of the analysis of the rehab data and have done our first cut on recommendations to rehab the sewer system. We're going back and refining those recommendations. We plan on meeting with the parish hopefully in the next 2 weeks after the Thanksgiving holidays to discuss the rehab recommendation we have, make sure we're all on the same page on what we actually put on the plans and stuff like that. The parish is providing us with information right now on property and stuff to site the new pump station, and so we're starting to look at that right now. And again, we'll have meetings with the parish to make sure we're all on the same page on where things will get built. So as I said, we're just getting traction going right now, and we had the kickoff meeting, and we're shooting to have the plans and specs done by the end of February. So that's where we stand right now.
Any questions, comments? Thank you, Mr. Jeff. Report on a jail study, Mr. Armour from CDM.
Yeah, we've got a little presentation. I guess we can put it on the screen. That's not it. There it is. Anyways, I was asked to come and give a brief presentation today. Okay. Anyways, the objective of the study was to develop alternatives for treatment of the wastewater collected in Lemonville area and other unincorporated areas of the West Bank. The draft report was submitted to DPW and URS last week. I think we need to make it very clear that URS and DPW haven't had an opportunity yet to sit down with us and go over their comments. I'm just going to share with you what we've shared with them right now. Again, to remind everybody, there are 3 alternatives we considered. One was treatment at an expanded facility at the Parish Jail. Secondly, to treat flows at a new regional treatment facility. And the third was to work with the city of Donaldsonville using their treatment facility. It should also make very clear that alternatives 2 and 3 also anticipate including some of the other communities on the West Bank that we talked about, St. Jude, A-Bend, and any potential future development in the Riverbend area. The recent jail expansion project has prompted us to refocus the effort because it's very clear that in 2008, I think we're anticipating, is that still correct? 2008, there will be a 100-bed expansion, and the existing facility there is unable to meet that expected expansion in time. So the alternatives that we developed needed to also include that first step of getting treatment up to that level by 2008. Just to state the parish's wastewater goals, and I think above all, of course, is cost effectiveness, but first, to provide capacity to handle the parish jail expansion. That's, I think, the primary objective right now from the timeline perspective. We also want to provide facilities that would serve those communities that are presently on septic systems, eliminating the negative environmental impacts of some of the poorly performing existing systems at the individual property level, and also to develop a plan that would accommodate the future expansion in the unincorporated areas. The first alternative is expanding the Ascension Parish Jail, and we did a 20-year net present worth analysis, which includes not just construction but operation, maintenance, etc. Doing just that is by far the least expensive option. And again, DPW and URS, to be fair, need to go through this as well and comment on the numbers. But it's fairly straightforward, I think, that the limits of this alternative are that they would not accommodate any future flows by going through this alternative. There's a map just showing the little project area there. The second alternative would treat flows at a new regional plant, and our 20-year net present worth cost for this alternative is about $34 million, and clearly far more costly than alternative one, and it requires immediate capital investment. It does offer some stability of fees that the ratepayers would hopefully benefit from, and it also could provide a potential revenue stream for the parish. This shows the potential location that we've discussed, I think, with DPW, suggested location of a regional plant, and some of the main parish-owned networks that we would anticipate such a system to have. The third alternative was treatment at the Donaldsonville City plant. That has a net present worth, based on our analysis, of $47 million. To get to that number, we assumed a bulk service rate of $2 per thousand, but it's very clear that really to get at the right number, we would have to enter into some sort of discussions with the city to see what that real number really is. We chose a number that was below the average for a facility of this capacity. This would require an immediate investment in the city's facility. The parish would have to invest in some degree of improvement in the city's facility, as well as the network of pipelines and pump stations, et cetera, to get the flow to the plant. This is, again, the big picture, getting everything in online. But we have the immediate need of getting the jail expanded and facilities online. This shows sort of the scale of the additional footages of pipeline to get to the city's facility, which I think is really the main cause of some of the cost difference between alternatives 2 and 3. To get to the first phase of in alternative 2, which is to build a new regional plant, that cost is about $4 million. And for phase 3, it's probably closer to for alternative 3, getting to Donaldsonville, that's probably about $5 million. Now, I think, again, we need to work with the parish, possibly the city, and also URS to make sure that, what the actual costs at the city's plant are, make sure we're all on the same page.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
Tom, if you could, explain alternative 2 phase 1 or alternative 3 phase 1. What would you actually be able to bring in with that initial investment? Is it just the jail? Is it Amen, Lemonville? Kind of run through that if you don't mind.
First, just the jail. Lemonville, some phases of Lemonville could probably, some portions of Lemonville could probably be accommodated. But the main goal here is to accommodate the jail expansion, which, is already in motion to be in place. Additional flows from that point on, our report actually lays out what the costs of adding, for example, Lemonville, A-Bend, St. Jude, et cetera, would be. But this phase 1 is simply just to get the jail accommodated by the 2008 deadline. Our draft recommendations, again, subject to discussion with DPW. We feel alternative 2 is preferable because, first and foremost, I think it addresses the long-term sewer needs of the area at a slightly better cost to the parish. It also, I think, because the parish would own the entire facility, could provide some potential of stability in rates. And it also could provide a potential revenue source, depending on the financing mechanisms that are finally used. That's it. Any questions?
Yeah, not so much for you. I'll have a question in a minute for you. Mr. Rue, do y'all have a thought on a timeline and how fast we need to actually get something started for the jail expansion?
Again, the first estimate that we've made on the completion of the jail, at least 50 beds. They would like to get 100 beds, but at least 50 beds should be completed by January of 2008. That's what they're pushing for. And the reason I say the difference between the 100 bed and the 50 bed, if you remember, the council passed the permission to get SJB to do some surveying. We may have to expropriate a piece of property. Now, if that takes too long, they're going to just limit the expansion to 50 bed, which is half of it. And then after expropriation is finished, they gain the land, they're going to go ahead onto that piece of land with the other part of the expansion. So at least they get something done next year. Going back to answer your question, 2008, they should have 50 beds ready to occupy, and we need a system there by January or February of 2008.
Now, can someone give us an estimate, a timeline as far as design, bidding, construction? How long is this process going to take us? Are we too late now? Do we need to make a move in the next month? Give us an idea of where we need to be heading.
I think, Amber, we talked about it a little bit. I mean, if we would go ahead, we're looking first at going to the city, and we were thinking that it was a possibility that we could meet the deadline if we acted on what option you wanted to go immediately, especially going to the city. Now, with a plant, building a plant, it may be changed a little bit. Amber, can you?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the city perhaps offers a potential time advantage. We need to look at that, but it also depends, I think, on what level of regional plant complexity we're talking about. If we're talking about a relatively simple sort of oxidation pond and going straight to the river, getting the permits and that sort of thing would be the limiting factor. I don't think the design and construction are really limiting to get us to January 2008 if we act fairly soon. I think that's fair to say. But the design documents wouldn't take more than a few months. Construction, I would say, maybe 9 months to 12 months. Is that fair? It could happen. I mean, it could happen with an aggressive sort of push. I think it could happen.
But it needs to happen soon.
I think that's very clear. Regardless of the final option, whichever option is selected, I think we still are under the same time constraints. And I think we would like also to get some clear understanding of what the ultimate cost arrangement would be with the city, because that would affect your analysis of what the final number is. And I don't think it's fair for us or the parish or the city to sort of speculate until we can sit down with them and maybe come to some numbers.
Mr. Shakedown.
And my question is, why didn't we do that before we came to the meeting?
I can answer that because I asked Alma to come and just didn't think about doing it.
We've been a couple of months. We've been talking, and we know the jail expansion is coming up. We know it's a very, very tight deadline. I think we need to address all of the unknowns as quickly as possible on an emergency basis if we have to. If we have to call a special meeting, let's call a special meeting and come together. But I would like to see the possibility, some options of funding mechanisms. The best one or two options of how we can immediately take care of our immediate needs, so we can decide what's the best way to do it, and then go about with some funding mechanism. But we need some more information, and when we have all of this out there, and we're talking about $3 million, we're talking about $4 million, and the only monies that I know that we have is about $500,000 here and $600,000 or $700,000 there. And so, Bill?
Well, and just to let you know, we've got another little wrinkle into this whole scenario, and that is the ACUD and Councilman, the new councilman we have, Oliver Joseph, is saying now that he wants ACUD involved, and he wants to be involved with this. So I don't know, because they want to tie the water in with the wastewater, and they want to have control of it and billing and stuff like this. This is one thing that we never talked to them much about, but he wants that involvement to begin too. And he was going to set up a meeting with the mayor of Donaldsonville to start discussing all of this. I talked to him a couple weeks ago, and we just haven't set it up yet. So I know you've been involved with ACUD a little bit over there. I don't know
the initial investment has nothing to do with any customers. It's the Parish of Ascension's jail,
right,
and the Parish of Ascension getting sewer for the jail. So right now we don't have any ACUD issues. It's strictly the Parish of Ascension issue.
I'm just saying what I was told by the councilman, and he said he wanted to get ACUD involved with it, with the mayor.
Well, and we said we would do that. Right now, we didn't even get to the point. We've had a meeting already with the mayor of Donaldsonville, and we needed to go back and get our facts and figures straight first, because we needed to try to decide whether it was more feasible to go to Donaldsonville's facility or build our own facility. And that was the last meeting we had with the mayor in Donaldsonville. And that's why we hired CDM and Armour to go out and try to see what is the best alternative for the parish. I'm still not sure. We still have unanswered questions.
Well, I think, sorry, Council, but I think it comes down to what that rate is.
Well, then what we ask you to do is go find out what that rate is and report to us and give us some true numbers and give us something that we can vote on to decide so we can move forward. And Mr. Rue, I ask you to get us some methods of possible funding, and then when we see what feasibilities we have, we don't even know if we're going to be able to move forward or not. We very much like to get ACUD involved. They're the utilities district on the West Bank. They're going to be involved regardless, because they're going to end up having to manage it. And then we have to move forward at that point. But we're not ready to meet with Donaldsonville yet, because we haven't decided what we would like to do. And
I think you may be in a position to meet with Donaldsonville. I'm not sure that you really have much more to do in terms of analysis. I think you are at that point, because we have in the analysis, which again is subject to final review and acceptance by DPW and URS, but you have in there a good guess at what a competitive rate would be. Now, either they can, the city of Donaldsonville can meet it or beat it, and I think that's the last question. You have, I think you have in the study what you need.
Well, according to what you presented to us, it was clear the alternative was for us the best alternative for the parish was to build our own treatment plant.
That's right.
I mean, and if that's the case, then it's no use to meet with anyone else. If that's the best deal for the parish. If the best deal would have come out in this study to go to Donaldsonville, then we needed to sit down with Donaldsonville and work out the details. But
we did meet on this and talk about it before, and we kind of agreed that it looks like the best deal is to do our own deal.
Yeah, that's right. So
that's why there was really no urgency to meet with Donaldsonville.
That's right. And so, I mean, if that's the case, then we need to move forward and build our own treatment plant. The question is exactly how much it's going to cost and how we're going to fund it.
Well, I think the costs are there. I think the funding options, I think, are really the next step in that case.
But we have identified some funding mechanisms, and one is USDA as a possibility, also the block grant, and also STAG. I mean, that's your three primary ones that we know about right now.
State revolving fund.
Possibility there.
Mr. Valentine?
But it's kind of late to get into some of that.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Go ahead.
When can we get some concrete funding measures or some numbers, possibilities that we can lay out? This is real. This is things that are available, or this can be gotten at a certain time period or whatever. And what I'm looking at is when can we get answered finally what the true numbers are for going to Donaldsonville, so we can make our final decision on that, and what are the true numbers on funding mechanisms, and so that we could, how long will it take to take care of all of that so that we could have a meeting and make some decisions so we can go forward.
Well, again, you need the numbers. You need to settle on what option you want. You can settle on the amount, and then you get this conceptual plan together to present to get the funding. I mean, you just can't. It's hard to just come up there and say we want to build a wastewater system. We don't know how much it's going to cost, but we want you to sign a agreement with us to pay for it, whatever it costs. We got to get the numbers. We got to get the plan, conceptual plan, and then we can submit that.
How long is that going to take?
Well, that is in our study and report details all that. A conceptual design. The basis of our cost estimate was, some level of conceptual design. What I would like to have before that, and I think we're right there, really, is just to make sure that Bill and his staff are 100% in agreement with what we're presenting. It's been submitted in draft form for them to comment, and I think with that, which should really not take long. I mean, it's ready, in my opinion, to be finalized. And then with that information and with that acceptance, we should be able to develop the financing mechanism.
Mike, you had a...
Yeah, I was just going to say, as Amr noted, we received the report on Friday. We'll have our comments back within a week immediately, so he can finalize it. I'm assuming Bill would do the same, and then from that point, I guess you
we could have a special meeting.
Funding mechanisms and make recommendations. I do agree with Bill, though, that although you apply, whether it's a STAG grant, a CDBG, whether or not you get the money and how soon you get
Well, I mean,
To me, the
we see right
stag
now.
grant's not even an option because we didn't spend the first stag grant.
We've
How you
been
gonna get
waiting.
the second one if you don't spend the first one?
We've been waiting for a year to get the EID, and so I mean, no telling how many years it'll take to start from scratch, and we haven't basically a year and a half, or a year and a little bit, to get this done. So if we don't have monies available or be able to get our hands on some monies at a quick point in time, or bond some monies or something like that, this thing is not feasible anyway.
I mean, this is just sort of my gut feeling, and it's not an engineering recommendation, but I don't think it's realistic given the time frame that we have to expect, funding through. And hopefully, I don't know, Bill had to have some comment to add to this, but CDBG or STAG or any other sort of congressionally dictated funding source is not realistic and not suitable for the time frame that we have. You're going to have to look at some form of either self-financing it or financing it through bonding or borrowing otherwise. I really don't know how else to put it, but
The
that's,
initial investment is obvious. That's
Right.
the only way it can
And
be
I-
funded for a time period.
And I think the opportunities for those other funding mechanisms that we discussed are for the subsequent expansion of the system, capturing the other communities. I think that those may be better suited for those types of funding mechanisms, and also would give you the lead time to apply for and put those in motion. But I think if the goal here is to get some backbone of infrastructure in the ground serving the jail primarily by 2008, the real source of funding is going to be financing.
But we do have a commitment on some STAG funds that was redirected. If you remember back,
Right.
we redirected that. That's there. You're just waiting on the EID, which is any day now, to be accepted, and that's it. They
Well-
release some funds. We also have, it's in line for the block grant with Hillaryville, depending on which one has the most points, for the second phase of Hillaryville or Lemonville. So that's in line right now for a determination by the state.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
And the other thing too, if you get into the reason I bring up ACUD, how do they play into this factor of funding? I mean, if they're going to have it, it's their district and they want control of it, do they apply for a bonds or sale bond, whatever? How are they going to get involved with this? So there's some other things you got to think about. Should the parish do it or should ACUD? As I understand it, it's ACUD's responsibility if it's utility district to fund it. Now, the jail is a different issue. I mean, this is a parish function, a parish place. But if this is going to be a community utility district with Lemonville and possibly other parts of that community coming into it, but that's ACUD, and that's a whole different story. So if you remember back, we initially got into this thing thinking only the jail. And then it was expanded to the communities and everything else. So it's a couple of little issues there that I think we need to clear up before we get actually. If we really get into the funding mechanisms, we got to bring ACUD into the equation and see how it fits legally.
How long before you could give us you could meet and give us some facts and recommendations?
I need probably about a week from now. We should have enough information to report to the committee.
2 weeks would be plenty.
Because I need to meet with because we had with URS. One of the critical factors is exactly what are the fees of the city, because we got to clean that up for us the estimated cost for its feasibility over 20 years. But that's fairly easy to find out. And then the other thing, I just got to meet with the ACUD and then meet with some of our attorneys and see exactly how this thing should play out with that utility district.
Mr. Valentine, you had a question?
Yeah. Mr. Rue, I know we had some problems with the jail sewer system in the past. I haven't heard anything lately. Obviously, what we have now is working properly.
It's been cleaned up and it's in running. I think
everything's working good.
Within the limits.
Maxed out, but working well.
Right. We can't add anything more to it. That's the problem.
Well, we talking alternative 2 and alternative 3. What is alternative 1?
Alternative 1 is to simply expand the jail's treatment facility.
Okay, and I'm looking here. It says report on the jail study. The jail study is what we're doing, right? Okay, so why are we not talking alternate 1? I mean, I understand there's some possibilities of being able to build a plant and being able to get some revenue, but I mean, obviously there's limited amount of revenue in that particular area. So therefore, you got a lot of investment with the potential maybe of gaining other customers. So we've talked 2 and 3 here, but 1 seems. Is there less funding abilities in 1 if it's just a jail?
I think the history of this study was actually intended to provide a treatment course or treatment strategy for Lemonville. Mm-hmm. We were anticipating funding for Lemonville, either CDBG or a combination of CDBG and STAG funding, to be applied to sewering Lemonville. And the thought process initially, and Bill, please clarify if I'm wrong, but was when that funding becomes available, will the parish be in a position to accept that flow at some facility and basically take advantage of that funding mechanism? That was really the intention. Expanding the jail to handle Lemonville is by far the cheapest option. We explored the other alternatives because that option would limit the ability to serve the other communities as well, and kind of be a one-time investment that could not be leveraged further in the future. That's really the reason why. It's the jail study for Lemonville.
And what has been pointed out here several times tonight is we're under the gun, because we do have a jail expansion going and we need a sewer system to be able to take it on. So is it possible to expand the jail system and take in Lemonville?
Yes. That is
without
alternative one.
branching out further?
Yes.
And is that a doable situation within a year period?
I would say just as doable as the others, in the same realm of schedule.
Okay,
Yes.
Mr. Rue, Mr. Rue, would STAG money be available for that also and everything?
Originally, when we redirected it, that's what it was redirected toward.
Right.
A combination of that and or whatever.
We
To me, it looks like
redirected 500,000, correct?
Yeah, to me, alternative one looks like the most attractive. It's limited. I agree, but then again, you're not putting out
What I think ideally, if you're going to expand in my opinion, if you could put a plant just enough that can handle the jail, but put it at a location that it can be expanded further to handle the whole area at a different time, put an expandable type system in where you can add to it. And if that can be cost effective, I think that would be the way to go. You can always add to it and keep adding as other communities come into it, your collecting system. So I think that would be the best option.
I mean, that's what I'm looking at.
See, we don't have when we talk about expanding the jail system, we're really looking at expanding it at the location where we can build a regional system, because we don't have the area at the jail right now. Now we could have it if through expropriation.
Well, I guess that's my point. If we're going to be taking in property around it, wouldn't that give you enough room to do it?
Yeah, if we do that, but that might be a time restraint on it, because expropriation might take half a year, because of problems that's associated with it.
That's all, Chairman.
Okay. I don't think we have any answers tonight. We'll talk some more with Mr. Rue, consultants, and maybe call a special meeting in a couple of weeks.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Armour. Wait, any other questions? Ms. Fontenot, you have any questions real quick?
No questions, no.
Okay. Mr. Shakespeare, you asked...
Yes, I had a couple of two-thirds. Number one, we needed a discussion, and I spoke with Councilman Thompson tonight. I'd like him to update us on the lighting district. And
so is that a motion?
As a motion, yeah, for one thing.
Motion by Mr. Shakespeare, second by Ms. Fontenot, to amend the agenda to talk about lighting districts in general.
At the interstates, the lighting on the interstates.
Lighting districts. And you have another. And any objection to that?
And the other thing is, I just wanted to report and bring everybody up to date on the millage that was passed for ACUD.
So is that a motion?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Yes.
Motion by Mr. Shakespeare, second by Mr. Valentine, to amend the agenda to talk about the millage that was passed for ACUD. Any objection? 7A will be the lighting districts. Mr. Shakespeare?
Yes, we've had numerous calls, and people have been calling about the lights on the interstate. We've been having problems. We've been in the dark, so to speak, with that. It's not as simple as it would seem, and there's a number of things. I believe we fixed them twice. Councilman Thompson has been working on this, and he has some an update on it. Adrian, would you give us an update to let everybody know what's going on? So
Good evening, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be on this side.
And lady.
And lady. Look, lighting district number 6, the interstate lights. We are constantly spending money on the interstate lights. There are some problems with electrical. There's a state project to repair both intersections with new wiring, and lights. Now, when the project going to take place, I don't know. But every time we go out and fix a light through the lighting district, it costs us $5,000 per light. And if you have to replace a transformer or anything like that, it's more. The guys that are cutting the grass with the stake, sometimes they hit the transformers. Sometimes there's a car wreck that causes problems. But we are pushing to put pressure on the state to hurry up and get the project done. If it go on too long, we're just going to have to spend the money and fix the lights. But the lights at I-10 and 44 is a project and out there that they're going to repair the wiring and the lights, replace the lights. And also Highway 30 and I-10.
And I think to explain to some people, the reason that we're not just going every time and repairing them, as Councilman Thompson said, it's cost a great deal of money, but the underground wiring is causing shorts, and then every time we fix them, they have some shorts that sends out the whole system again in a very short period of time, and so the underground wiring has been the underlying problem, and until that's fixed, it will just be throwing good money after bad, and so we're trying to do the thing correct and then get it all online, but we're waiting for the state now.
Once the state repairs the lights and repair the lines and replace the lights, the city of Gonzales is going to take over the maintenance of them, and we're going to continue to pay the energy costs. I don't know when it's going to take place. I thought it would be starting in November, but I hadn't seen anybody work on the lights. We have to hire a company called Highlines to go out there and replace the lights and do the maintenance on them, because energy doesn't take care of the lights. I just wish that the people in the parish and the police officers have a little patience with us. We intend to get them repaired. I just can't give you a date.
Mr. Valentine?
Adrian, won't you give us a little synopsis of how, you did Highway 30 and the interstate, it's in the city of Gonzales, but it's in lighting District 6. Highway 44 in the interstate also is in lighting District 6, right? And you have those lights in that situation. Now,
what happened was,
that's not the city limits, right?
Yes, it is.
It is. That's
what happened was, before I took office in 2000, there was agreement made in '99 with the past councilman to take in all the lights in the city at the intersections, and that's how we wind up with the interstate lights in the city.
So they were already put in.
They was already put in. The state put them in
on both
intersections.
State put them in, or federal government, or whatever.
The feds put them in.
Okay,
and
so they put in the initial cost of all the lights.
Right.
We took over the maintenance and the utility bill.
Right.
Okay. So that's what the lighting district has been paying, maintenance, utility bill. You keep saying you're waiting for the state to do a project. So they're promising to pay for this again?
They're promising to do a project to repair the underground wiring on I-10 and I-10 at 30 and I-10 at 44.
In District 6, kind of give me a geographical where it goes. It includes you and Mr. Shakespeare?
No, it does. It didn't at first. It used to just include District 3. But when they did the reapportionment, that's what got the district crossways. It'd go down 44 and take in Pelican Point and Pelican Crossing, which is in Councilman Shakespeare district, and go down Brittany Tower Road, I think past Ernest Floyd Road. It stops in that area.
And then all of Darrow.
All of Darrow, all of Hereville, Industry, Highway 73, Corner View, Worthy Road.
Right. So industry's in there too. So that,
Yes, sir.
sometimes that accounts for the large amount
Yes,
of
sir.
funds that's in there.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments?
Ascension Trace is on a different system. The system Ascension Trace is on, the homeowners in the area, they pay for their light. For some reason, they didn't get put in the lighting district.
You talking about if you take a right at the cabin going down?
Right.
22 would be on the left side?
On the left side. But, you know, I still get calls from Ascension Trace about the lights inside the subdivision. And we just call 1-800-ENERGY, or I call David Herron, and every now and then we got to go ride at night and mark poles with lights out. We need some kind of program where the parish would monitor the lights or get somebody to go at night to give the address for repair lighting, because we have a lot of lights out that we're paying for. And I would like to see a monthly PM program. And even if we have to pay for it out the lighting district fund, if we could get it to keep the lights up, we need to have it done.
One more thing I'd like to say. The intersection at Highway 22 and the interstate is in Sorrento, and the town of Sorrento is responsible for that one. That is not, I thought it was a parish, but as we investigated it, it's the town of Sorrento. They had a grant that was awarded that the lights were put up there, and they're in charge of maintaining them. And so if you have any problems with those, and they're currently out right now, all of them are experiencing the same problems. Apparently there's been a lot of underground work done at the interstates in the past 10 years or so, and it's caused a lot of the underground problems they're having. So that's why the state is trying to come back and fix that.
But tomorrow I will call to find out where we at with 44 and Highway 30, and either come back and give you an update or let somebody know on the committee what's going on with the lights. I'd rather for the state spend the money to fix them than come out the lighting district, because those lights gets pretty expensive. I think when they did Highway 30 and the interstate, when we did the construction on 30, we wound up spending like $32,000 to repair all the lighting at that intersection. And you know, it's a constant job repairing those lights.
You could do that every month.
Ms. Fontenot.
Mr. Thompson, I've been spending a good bit of my time looking over the budget, and I see that lighting district number 6 is increasing in funds, and there's no capital outlay for this year, and it hasn't been for a while. It would seem that at this particular time it would be a good time to either roll back the taxes or do some capital projects. I did understand. I asked a question of administration. It was indicated to me that if we buy Lamar Dixon, the people in District 6, the District 6 lighting district, will pay for the lights there. So, you know, I have some concerns about that. So I was just wondering what the plans are. Are you planning to maybe roll back some, give some people some money back, or will you do some more capital lights?
Well, we plan on doing some a capital project. Some of the light poles, the extension, need to be extended. There's a couple of different projects we're looking at.
Are we going to get that in the budget this year? Are you going to try to do that Thursday night, maybe make some suggestions to do that?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
But that's a project that I'm having energy to take a look at and let me know how much it costs to do that. And it is true about the lights on the roadside and parking lot of Lamar Dixon.
Any other questions, comments?
I have a comment.
Mr. Valentine.
You know, Adrian, I guess maybe you and Mr. Shakes now should tell me, how do we do this? Maybe Mr. Rue. does the DPW deal with lighting districts? I'm a little. I don't have a lighting district, so I don't really know a whole lot about lighting districts. So, if Mr. Thompson wants to do a project, and Mr. Shea Snyder wants to do some type of lighting projects, do they just get together and do they?
We assist.
How do we do that?
We will assist on a project like this. When lights go out, we assist in identifying the lights and giving a requisition and to get to someone to fix it and stuff like that. Other than that, Mr. Thompson handles the lighting district. Councilman from that district handles the lighting.
Well, I guess if Mr. Thompson wants to do a project like he's talking about, a council project, who would assist him in that?
DPW will assist.
I mean, Adrian, have you had experience in doing that? I mean, I'm just asking.
No, DPW engineer would assist Mr. Lynn Salvor.
And you would pay DPW for the assistance out of the lighting district, or no?
No, we hadn't.
Okay. And you okay with your lighting district and Mr. Shake's not lighting didn't pay for Lamar Dixon lights if we buy it? You okay with that? I mean, are the people in your district okay with that? Because they're the only ones going to be paying for electricity, not the rest of the people in Ascension Parish.
Well, with the revenues that we're getting from some of the businesses and some part of the city of Gonzales,
okay,
it doesn't really.
So we collect in the city of Gonzales on its lighting district?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Anything else? Mr. Thompson? That's it?
Okay.
I'll entertain number 8.
Wait.
We got the other one, millage.
Oh, excuse me, 7B, ACUD update on the millage.
I just want to inform everyone, if they haven't known, that this past week, the west side in the unincorporated areas, ACUD, Ascension Utilities District, has passed a 10 mil property tax that excluded industry for phase 3 of their water program on the West Bank, and so that has been passed. It is going to be moving forward. They're going to bond out that money, and so phase 3 is now on fast track where they'll be able to get water to the rural areas. And if you didn't know, it's areas that people have had problems with water before because of saltwater intrusion, and they have a lot of problems with their well water. They're not building a plant. Down the line, hopefully one day they would like to build a plant, but they're going to continue to have to buy water from Assumption, St. James, and some from People's Water. So it's a combination, and they'll be providing not only potable water, but fire service to the rural areas of the parish. And so we want to thank everybody for getting on board on that.
Mr. Rue, you have a comment before we adjourn?
Yes, it was asked of us to get you some sample ordinances for utilities. And Barry put some together, and the only thing we're going to do is hand it out for your review, and then we'll go through it at the next,
what is
start
this?
discussing it at the next meeting. The
What is
utility ordinance. Okay. We have 3 of them from 3 different places for your review.
Thank you. Is that it, Mr. Rue?
That's all.
Number 8?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Ms. Fontenot.
Second.
Second by Mr. Shea Snyder. Oh, and Ms. Fontenot asked real quick that we, she says the Transportation Committee meeting will start in 10 minutes.